think the real debate should be about free will. And we feel it right now because we are being programmed. We're being programmed based on what we say we're interested in. And we are told through these discovery mechanisms what is interesting. And as we engage and interact with this content, the algorithm continues to build more and more of this bias. But the algorithm, even if it's open source, is effectively a black box. You cannot predict 100% of the time how it's going to work, what it's going to show you. And it can be moved and changed at any time. And because people become so dependent upon it, it's actually changing and impacting the agency we have, the free agency we have. And I think the only answer to this is not to work harder at open source in algorithms or making them more explainable about what they're doing and why they're doing it, but to give people choice.
It's really three things that got us excited. One is this is an international business, and it accelerates our plans for international expansion, particularly in crypto. Second, it brings an exchange to Robinhood, and we've been thinking for a long time that the world could use a Robinhood exchange. We have a lot of ideas about how we can improve upon that. And as we talk to our market makers, we see there's a clear need for another player in the market. And then the third, institutional business. This allows Robinhood to enter a new business, serving market makers and other institutional customers. And that's something that's very exciting for us.
So what does a Robinhood exchange look like? And what does this say, or does it say anything about regulation in crypto in the U.S. versus elsewhere outside of this country, and where you think the growth opportunity is?
Yeah, the business is global, Bitstamp that is. It's Europe-based. And as you guys probably know, Europe, we make fun of us Europeans. I could say us Europeans because I'm American and European, lead in regulation. And in this particular case, MiCA, which is the crypto asset regulation, is going live. So there's an established regulatory framework. And unfortunately, Europe is a little bit ahead in this regard. But I don't think the U.S. is too far behind. I think that it's always kind of darkest before dawn, as they say, and you're seeing some positive signs. But
this will serve, though, foreign customers, if you will, meaning American customers will not be able to necessarily use some of these services, right?
Well, again, I think it gets a little tricky with the institutional business. A lot of these customers are based globally and have offices around the world. We haven't yet gotten to the point where we're going to discuss the details of exactly how the integration is going to go, but we do anticipate it serving global customers.
The reason I ask is there's a staking business, and as you know, staking right now is a hot topic in Washington. Coinbase is in the middle of a bit of a brouhaha. That might be a polite word for it. So I'm just trying to understand how you're thinking of keeping the business, to the extent that any of these businesses have to be separated for now.
Yeah, I mean, we've already had to go down that road. So we launched Solana staking for customers in the EU, but given the regulatory environment here, we've been unable to launch that product for customers in the US. There are differences in asset listings between the EU and US. So, I mean, we're going to have to continue doing that as we expand the business with the exchange.
It's a good gig if you can have it, Vlad. You could be off in Nevis right now if you make 80 million.
Printing money.
Right, you already got it. But if you make 80 million overnight from just circulating a meme on Twitter.
I can't really speculate as to what's going on there.
Today, we're hearing from individuals actively leveraging tokenization to improve and enhance both our capital markets and our banking system. Our witnesses are helping usher in the next age of financial services into the United States, and I'm excited to learn more about the enhancements that they're actively working on, both here and abroad. I hope that we can use this hearing to understand where it makes sense for the consideration of tokenization to be utilized and the necessary regulatory and legal considerations that have to be amended or considered in order to make that more of a reality.
FIT21 lays out a regulatory framework that directs the Securities and Exchange Commission, the bank supervisors, the Commodities and Future Trading Commission, how to handle digital assets so that we can have innovation in this country on blockchain, go to Web3, and it directs those supervisors how they should handle digital assets to make them fit for purpose, which is the FIT part of the acronym, with today's regulatory system. I think it'll create more jobs in the U.S., allow us to advance internet to the next stage, and create lower costs and more opportunities for consumers. We got a strong bipartisan vote. 71 Democrats voted with this in the House, and I think that sends a positive message to the Senate. Work with us, create a digital assets framework that allows America to innovate and lead the world in this technology.
You know, I'm actually surprised that we didn't see a greater rally in crypto after the conviction.
Yeah.
Like, I would have thought that that would have been one heck of a use case for diversifying and actually having some assets maybe that the government doesn't see that closely, that they can't just confiscate from you. But, you know, obviously, President Biden was not okay with this for one reason or another. How much of this has to do with potentially the discussions that are underway about a central bank digital currency? Great question.
So in addition to passing FIT21 last week with that good bipartisan vote, we also voted legislation to ban the U.S. for creating a central bank digital currency without congressional direction and legal oversight. We control in Article 1 money and how money is formed. We didn't get the strong bipartisan vote there because I think they're defending the Biden administration and research on CBDCs. But the private sector should lead here.
Yeah.
Private sector stablecoins, using the dollar as the backing, which is another bill we have in Congress that's pending, will be the gateway to a digital asset future where the dollar continues to lead the world in tokenized transactions for payments. And so a dollar-backed stablecoin bill, plus a privacy bill, nationwide privacy bill, plus FIT21 create the kind of ecosystem I think that's perfect for innovators here to bring money here, technology here, and as I say, give consumers choice.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And we have Jack Dorsey on algorithms and the power it has to program the masses. And if you don't believe it, the only thing you have to do is go on TikTok. It's called a news feed for a reason, because they're feeding your mind. Remember, it's not just the stomach you feed the mind also. And the masses are constantly being programmed without them even knowing it. You have movies, TV, songs on the radio, and of course, social media. It will program a whole generation to think one way. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. Now we have Robinhood to purchase Bitstamp to expand its institutional business and be able to serve market makers. And we have Europe leading the way in regulation along with the emerging markets. And we know the United States is going to follow later this year going into next year. And we have Rowan Kitty. It's nothing but a movie. And we have CNBC admitting it. It's all a distraction. But if you're a trader, make sure you're taking advantage. Now we have Congressman French Hill on regulation inside the United States. Basically, they're trying to get that framework done. And he says they ban central bank digital currencies without the permission of Congress. And we know Congress is definitely going to give them permission. It's amazing how they twist the words. But guys, CBDCs are definitely not banned here. And we know the Fed has already been testing CBDCs for decades. And with these stable coins, the central banks are going to have even more power. Because remember, they're going to be programmable, telling you what, when, and how to buy. And you have 3 to 6 months to spend them or poof, it's gone. And don't forget, these cryptos are also for the machines. Machines now have money. And if you try to cheat them, they'll just take the money right out your wallet. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. Now we have Jim Rickards, we know an NWO puppet, giving you half the truth. And he's been doing it for a long time. Guys, yes, United States dollar is going to fall. It's going to lose a lot of its power. But the fact is that China is definitely going to rise. The reason why, you can look at Tether. Tether is dominating. Why? Because on a push of a button, it can create billions. Just imagine what China will be able to do in this tokenization economy. Yes, if we were staying in this same fiat currency, then yes, they will have no chance. It will take a long period of time. But because of tokenization, they can push a button and create billions. We see it in crypto. And all you have to do is do your research on Belt and Road. They have plenty of partners already. Forget the BRICS. Look at the Belt and Road. It's like 70% of the world's population. And in the emerging markets, they're already using all of this technology. And you're witnessing the fall of the United States world reserve currency and the rise of China, the digital yuan backed by that digital SDR. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Well, you're right, Charles. Fiat currencies do supplant each other over time, but it's a very slow process. Classic case, sterling was at its peak in about 1914. By 1944, Bretton Woods, it was sort of a footnote. But that took 30 years. It didn't happen overnight. So is the dollar running into a lot of headwinds? Actually, I always say that the world cannot destroy the dollar, but the U.S. can do it itself, and we're doing a pretty good job of that. But you're right. Dollar, round numbers, is about 60% of global payments. It's the currency of about 60% of global reserves, so it's still the king of the hill. You can forget about there's not going to be a gold-backed Chinese yuan. Forget about that. China doesn't have enough gold. Russian ruble is not going to displace it. Russia and China don't have the rule of law or the bond markets. Those are key things about being reserve currency. The BRICS currency is coming along, but it's going to take another 5 to 10 years. The key thing there, it's easy to announce a currency, a payment currency. That's just a ledger entry. What you need is a large enough trading area where if I get some, I export and I get paid in BRICS, I can go shopping in 20 countries instead of 1 or 2 if I'm getting rubles or yuan. They're not there yet, but they're adding members every year. They'll add some more at the summit in Russia in October. That'll take a few more years. However, the rival to gold is already here, and it's the one you pointed to. The rival to the dollar, rather, is already here, and it's the one you pointed to. It's gold. Right now, by the way, very few people realize this. The United States has 70% of its reserves in gold. Now, we don't need foreign currencies because we print the dollar, but that's the data. Russia has 25% of its reserves in gold. China has about 8% of its reserves in gold. Those numbers are both going up. Interestingly, when you look at the IMF data on currency shares, they have the dollar, euro, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, and so forth. They give you all the data. You can compute the percentages quickly. They don't include gold, which is weird because the IMF itself has over 1,000 metric tons of gold. So when you put gold in the picture, 2 things are happening. Number one, the inversion was 2010. That's when central bank gold reserves started going up. That's accelerating. And now the U.S. is just a week away. June 13th, G7 summit in Italy. The U.S. is going to lead an effort to steal $300 billion of Russian-owned assets in the form of U.S. Treasury securities. When that happens, you're going to see again, the Treasury market's not going to collapse. I don't want to overstate this, but at the margin, if you can't trust the Treasury, do you really want Italian, German, or Japanese bonds? I don't think so. You're going to want gold.
Right. Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? if we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Team save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Team save New York. COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Team goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.